Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my The Clone Wars and Crime mug today because we're doing the other half of this video, which is, you'll see. So today's video is going to be the worst books that I read in 2023, not the most uplifting video. You know the drill with this. We're going to be talking about all of the worst books that I read this year. There wasn't a ton of the ones that I ranked the least. I feel like some of these that were all like 2 stars and they probably should have been 1 stars, but we will get to that. I'm going to be going over those and also a few that I DNF'd. Not that I didn't finish and I will get to at some point, but the ones that I know I think I'm not going to return to. Some of them I definitely know. One of them is like, maybe, but I don't think so. Let's just get into it. This is not the happy video, but let's do it. So the first book we're going to be talking about is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. Where do I begin? So I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, that whole series. I loved it. The 3rd book was not my favorite, but I loved the 1st one for sure. The 2nd one was pretty good. And I liked the first half of the 3rd one, and then the rest of it, the way it ended was really weird for me. I was very excited to follow anything else she wrote. I was like, I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be great. This is my mystery thrillers. This is what I like. This is like a true crime thing. This was so bad. I'm mad at myself that I gave it 2 stars. So I finished the book because I wanted to know what happened and I hoped that it would get better, but the entire time I was just like, what is this? This cannot be the same author as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is trash. I'm sorry, I'm being kind of mean, but I was very disappointed and upset about this book. They were writing this character like she had ADHD, I think is what they were trying to say. They never full out said it, but they would literally be like in this van, this person is hunting them, shooting at them, and the main character, Red, would look at the curtains and be like, I swear that these look like a curtain in a cartoon show. Is it The Simpsons? Is it this? I don't know. That is not what you're going to be thinking. I don't care. I don't care what kind of neurodivergence you have. If you are under imminent threat of being murdered, you are not thinking about what show the curtains are in. You're not. I don't care. I don't care. It made me so mad. The plot was silly. The way the characters were written like that were so like flawed in a weird way, frustrating, not great, not likable, and not just unlikable, but bad. It was just bad. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the characters. I liked nothing about this basically, and that was so disappointing because I really, really loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and this was not good. It was just not good. It wasn't a good book. There's nothing about this that's redeeming, I feel like. I was really mad about this book. Like, I just finished it and was just mad. I was angry about how it was written, how the characters were, how the story went. I was just so angry because I was like, I know what you can write. I hated it. Granted, as an author, you should do creative things. You should do things outside of your comfort zone or outside of the box or things you want to do, but this did not work for me. I hated it. I thought it was horrible. I'm real mad about it. The next one was Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. This is the 4th book in the Dark Olympus series, and I know what you're thinking, why did you read the 4th book if you didn't read the rest of them? They're standalone books, so it's kind of one of those situations where each book focuses on a different couple or a different god. It's supposed to be like a mythology retelling is what I thought it was. So in this one, you're following Apollo, and I was just like, you know what? That sounds interesting. So if I'm going to read this series, I don't necessarily want to start with another Hades and Persephone retelling, so I will start with Apollo. That sounds cool. I got the audiobook from NetGalley early to like listen to it and review it. I was really excited. I was like, yeah, mythology retelling, even though it's an adult romance, like it's a mythology retelling. That could be really cool. It's not. It's not. So the reason I was interested in it is because it is mythology, but that's not the case in the Dark Olympus series. So in this series, if you had the same misgivings that I did or the same misunderstanding, the god titles, Apollo, etc., are titles that you can earn through competition, etc. So it's not mythology at all, and it's not a god at all. It's just a title and a position of this horribly dark city that is corrupt and horrible, I guess. I don't know. And because there is like an underlying plot, I think, that connects all of the books eventually, but you could still read a one-off and be okay. So I don't know about that plot. will admit that because I haven't read the other books, but I did not like this. It's like you just wanted to use Greek mythology names and then write your own story completely. And it was each of them has a different couple. Way too spicy for me. I did not like that. Just like, let's just take the names of Greek gods, maybe extremely loosely follow mythology, make it modern day and not magical at all, and then be smut. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. That's not what I thought I was gonna get. I really didn't like it. It wasn't very good to me. I'm sure people really enjoy it, but this one's not for me. I did not like it. I like to have plot. I like to have stories. I like to have magic. I like a lot of things that this book was not. And I'm not saying every book I read has to have that. I read some contemporary romances that I have enjoyed, but this is not one of them. I think that helped me realize that I'm not going to read the rest of these books or any of her books or other kind of series that I've been interested in that are probably the same vibe. So not for me, did not enjoy, would not recommend. The next one was a surprise for me. I actually still have it here, I think, but do not fret, I will be unhauling it. Was The Bladed Faith by David Dalglish. I was really interested in this book. I stumbled across it when it came out in 2022. I don't know. When it first came out, I stumbled across it in the bookstore. It sounded so good. I was so intrigued, so that I put it on my 23 books to read in 2023 challenge, and I did so, and I hated it. I think the premise, so a usurped prince will take up the mantle of a deadly assassin to reclaim his kingdom, his people, and his slain gods in this explosive start to a new fantasy trilogy. I hated it. It had so much potential. It sounded so cool. I think I liked the beginning of it, and then it just got really boring. I don't know how it could be so boring with everything that was going on, but I am so sad I didn't like this. I was very disappointed. I tried to push through it, which is why I didn't DNF it, to hope that it got better, and it just never did. I didn't care at all. I listened to the entire audiobook and I felt like I was missing parts of the story. I didn't connect to anything that was happening. I didn't connect to the events. I didn't connect to the characters. I didn't care. I didn't care about the gods. I didn't care about the magic. And I don't think there was actual information missing from the text, but it felt like there was. The characters were blurring together and it was just so boring for me. Usually I have a pretty good grasp on separating characters and knowing what is going on with each character. Did not for this, could not separate them. I was so bored to tears. I did not care, which just sounds insane to me when I'm thinking about these people that are getting magical powers granted by the gods. Didn't care, so boring. I have no idea how this wasn't good, but I will not be continuing the series. I really didn't like this. I was so mad that I didn't like it. The combat was okay, but it was just very, very disappointing. I was very sad because I really thought I would love it. And I didn't, and was very scared after this. It almost put me in a reading slump. I was like really not having a good time. Did not like this, very shocked. I have another one of his series that I got secondhand and I really hope it's different. Maybe this author is just not for me, I don't know, but did not like this. And then the next one, I think I may have had at one point, but I definitely unhauled it, was Wings, Once Cursed and Bound by Piper J. Drake. I was really curious about this. I got it in a bookish box well after I read it because the bookish box is so behind. It's insane. But this is the first book in a series. I believe I got this audiobook from NetGalley to review early as well, and I was pretty stoked about it. It sounded really cool. It's like following some mythology about an Indian bird princess. Cool. Never read that before. But there's also vampires. Weird. It's I don't know the name of the story, but it's about a girl who is a dancer, and she is half of this like mythological creature, and she is gifted these magical red shoes, and she puts them on and they will dance her to her death. Sounded great, right? That happens in like the first couple minutes of the book. I was like, wow, this is so fast-paced, so high stakes, so intense, so great. And then it just went So she puts on the shoes, her life is in imminent danger, but because she's this half of this mythical creature, it doesn't immediately kill her, and everybody's impressed that she's survived this long. And this vampire sees this going down, and he takes her to try to help her. He's like, these are magical shoes, they will kill you, let's figure out what we can do about this, and they like have a romance. But it was just kind of weird. It was like people were trying to kidnap her sometimes, and the magical shoes never really killed her. The threat never seemed as imminent as it did in the beginning of the book when she puts them on. It seemed like it was just kind of like a background thing in the plot to occasionally stir up a little bit, but not too much that her life is actually in danger. And I just felt like the further the book went on, the more I did not care and thought it was just kind of okay. I became disinterested and bored. There was like some fox creatures that you catch a glimpse of, like pages of a glimpse at the end of the book, or at least towards the end of the book. They were the only interesting part of the story, and they're probably going to be in future books, but I will never know because I will not continue the series because I disliked this one so much. I was pretty upset because I feel like there was obviously there's not as many of these books as there were 5 stars this year, but I felt like I had a lot of these. I didn't when I look at it, but I feel like I had a lot of these back to back or just like spread out, that I was just like almost getting in a slump like every month because of these stupid books that I was reading. And I'm trying to be a lot better about DNFing things that I'm not enjoying, and not forcing myself to finish it because it's on my shelf or whatever, but just being like, you know what? If I don't like it, I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna unhaul it. I'm gonna do something about it because there's so many books in the world that I could like. And this is not one of them. I really, really disliked it. Don't care to continue, will not continue. I hope somebody else read this and liked it, but it was not I. And last but not least, for the worst books that I read this year, and then we'll get into the couple that I DNF'd, was The Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I was pretty excited about this book because I was interested to read something from Jennifer L. Armentrout that was not in the From Blood and Ash world, because I have read the first 2 books of that. They were okay. I'll read the 3rd book, but I didn't fall in love with it like a lot of people did. I enjoyed them. I'm not going to say I didn't. Like, they're pretty cool, but I am more of a plot person and I don't see plots in those very much. So I was curious to see something else that she would write in the adult fantasy genre, because I did really like the Lux series. I don't think it's good literature, but that's okay. I really thought it was fun, and I devoured it over a short period of time, and it was just a really fun time for me, like eating candy. I really liked that. So I enjoyed that part of her writing, but this is not it. I don't think she's for me as an author. I think I'm realizing that, and if I read the 3rd From Blood and Ash and I don't like it, I think I'm done with her. But to even tell you what this book is about, I don't know if I could. Essentially, there is a human I'm honestly not sure if I could tell you the plot of this book. Probably because there's that one. The main character has like intuition, but she can also kind of like see the future in certain ways if she like touches somebody and intentionally tries to. But she doesn't do it very often because she thinks it's a really bad invasion of privacy, but also just like you shouldn't know what's going to happen all the time. You shouldn't read the future. Bad things can happen. And there's this prince that ends up coming in her kingdom, and she feels tied to him, and he's obsessed with her, and they're like kind of in love but kind of not, and then one day he will be her doom, and there's a rebellion that's taking place to take down the kingdom that she's a part of, which she's kind of like a courtesan of the ruling guy because he provides her safety, and it's just, I didn't like it. There was one side character that I actually thought he was really funny and really fun, but not enough to continue this series at all. Again, kind of how I feel like Jennifer Armentrout's MO is at this point. There was very little plot until the end where they do this like cliffhanger, but I didn't care. I didn't care about the cliffhanger because I didn't care about the plot. I didn't really care about the characters except for the one side character that was funny that you don't see very often at all. I don't care. I don't care enough to start this. I don't care. I don't care enough to finish the series. I don't think Jennifer L. Armentrout's for me, and I think that's okay. I think a lot of people love her books, and I liked the Lux series, but I don't really like this, and that's okay. I think she and I just may need to part ways, maybe sooner rather than later, but this wasn't for me, and I might stop trying to get pulled into the hype with her books because I just don't like them. I don't like them. So those are the worst books that I read in 2023. Now we're going to get into 3 books that I DNF'd this year. And these, like I said, These are ones that I'm intentionally DNFing, not ones like Swordcatcher that I started and just haven't finished because I really do want to finish it. These are books I do not want to finish, ever. I'll say that with a caveat to one of them. So the first one is Battle Scars by Sam Maggs, I think it was. What was that? What was it? I don't know. So I stopped reading this about 40% of the way through, maybe almost 50% of the way through, because I could not stand it. The premise of this, if you've seen the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games, this book is supposed to take place with those characters between the events of those two games. So Jedi Fallen Order, Battle Scars, Jedi Survivor. No, this was, I almost said trash again, and I feel bad when I say that. Take everything you love about Star Wars, put it in a blender, and then throw it away. I hated it. So, and I obviously didn't even finish it, so I can't really tell you if it's worth it. I don't think it is. So they took like all of the characters you love of these games and made them horrible. They made Cal stupid, and I think somebody put it as kind of like a himbo. They just made him stupid. They made him not very fun, not very strong, not very cool. They took Marin and just made her talk about her sexuality, and like that was her only focus in the world, which is insane because that's not anything about the games ever. And somebody wrote a review about this and said, keep your spicy romance out of my Star Wars, please. And I agree. That is not why I watch Star Wars, play Star Wars, read Star Wars. That's not why. So it was just not what I wanted, not what I was expecting. It had a weird vibe to it, because obviously there's some romance. There's Han and Leia, there's Anakin and Padme. Like, there's some romance in Star Wars that is done well. This is not one of those things, and it was not cool. I really hated it because I was realizing that it was making me hate it so much, and because it was changing the characters in my mind on what they are in the games. I was like, I can't read this anymore. It's gonna ruin it for me. I was trying to read it before I played Jedi Survivor, and I was like, I can't do this to myself because I'm gonna end up hating these characters. So I was real mad about that and really disappointed in that, and I will never finish that book. How dare you write that? The next one is A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. I've heard pretty good things about this author with her Furyborn series, I think it's believed, or the Imperium series. I don't remember exactly what it's called. The first one is Furyborn, which I believe is about angels, which sounds great. But this one was not great. This is like supposed to be a fantasy romance, I believe, an adult fantasy romance. The main character was intolerable. She has like so in this world, if you were a part of high society, it's kind of like a historical fantasy romance, sort of. If you're in like high society, like the daughter of a duke or whatever, so like the higher ranking you are, the more magic you're supposed to have. And this character is allergic to magic. Like, it will physically hurt her to be around it or to use it, and it's seen as like very taboo, right? So this other character she meets comes along, and he can numb her pain because he has this kind of like almost brain control type power where he can eliminate her pain, and her immediate response is like, I hate you so much because I'll never feel this way again. Okay, how about like, thanks? Like, I don't know. She was insufferable, intolerable, so hateable. It's like you're painted as a way to feel bad for her, but she is such a selfish brat that you're just like, you can go jump off a cliff and no one cares. Like, my goodness. Her sister's like off at war and is this like magical creature that can turn into something and fight this war in this magical forest. I would love to get to that part of the story, but no, it was barely in it at all. Maybe it was in later because I did DNF it. And there's these like magical demons at play that are giving these families this rivalry, and if they defeat the other family, they get like some perks. It sounded like a cool story. I think I got halfway through of this book and was like, I cannot suffer through this anymore. Like, I just couldn't. It was so painful. I hated her so much. None of the characters were endearing, likable, I cared about, nothing. Like, and you can have dark characters, you can have unlikable characters, but this was not it. Like, good grief. If you want the character to die or to just stop following them, like, why would you read it? I could not stand the characters, and I didn't care. They were all spoiled brats. They were all selfish and horrible. I didn't want to continue. There was probably mystery elements to be solved, and I was like, who cares? This is horrible and painful for me. So I didn't finish that book. I will never finish that book. I got it in a bookish box also, unhauled it. Cannot stand it. I'm probably being way more harsh with these books than I was when I first started reviewing them, but that's because I've stewed on them and been so mad about the wasted time of my life. So that's that. And then the last one, this one is a little bit different because I did DNF it, but maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't know. You can convince me. Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. So the premise of this book sounded so interesting to me because it was pitched as if you wanted Elena and the Darkling to get together in Shadow and Bone. I'm that fan. Yes, please. I think this is to do with a lot of blood magic. Couldn't tell you because I couldn't really figure out what was going on. So I think I made it like 20%, 30% through. I'm not really sure. So I'll tell you what happened. Me and my husband, this was on my TBR. Me and my husband were like, hey, we're on this road trip. I need to read this book. We want to listen to an audiobook together. A lot of them were sequels or whatever. And we're like, hey, how about this? This sounds okay, right? And he's like, yeah, let's listen to that. And we listened to it for a few hours. And I like could not track and focus. And I thought it was me. I was like, am I tired? Am I not focused because I'm in the car? Like, that's weird. Like, I'm pretty good at listening to audiobooks since it's 8% of how I consume books. So it's not like I'm not used to audiobooks. It's not like I can't track with them. I was like, is it today? Am I tired? Is like something else going on? And then I kind of checked in with him and he was like, I can't focus. I don't really know what's going on. This seems really slow and really weird. And I was like, okay, it's not just me. And so we like talked about it and we both were like, what is this book? Like, what is happening? Why is it slow and weird and nothing happening? But it acts like stuff is happening and it's not really explaining anything and it's really confusing and confuddling and muddled. And we were just like, let's stop. And then we listened to something else. It might have been Divine Rivals, but we listened to something else and we never came back to it. And I never came back to it. So I thought about like trying to continue, but I'm at that crossroad where I'm like, I didn't really like it. I wasn't really enjoying it, but I bought the trilogy and I have the trilogy on my shelves. I think I moved them to another part of the shelves because I had to in reorganizing, but I was like, do I still want to give this a try? Because the idea of Alina and the Darkling together is very appealing to me, but I was really not liking it, really couldn't figure out what the heck was going on or what was wrong with my brain. Turns out there's nothing wrong with my brain. I just could not connect with this book. So this one I did in theory have intention on coming back to, but the more I sit on it, the more I don't know if I want to, and maybe I should just get rid of these books because if I'm not enjoying it, why would I force myself to continue when there are so many books in the world? I do have like a little bit of a fear of missing out on a favorite, but I think if I'm not enjoying it, why would I make myself continue? And I would like your feedback on that one actually, because if you have read it and you enjoyed it, let me know if I should continue. But at this point in time, I think if I don't hear anything, I'm gonna get rid of them, which hurts me a little bit, but I don't think it's worth it. I was really struggling with it, and I think there's so many other books out there that I could read that I will like, and maybe I just need to let this one go. So that was a lot of ranting, a lot of opinions, a lot of scrambled thoughts, but these were the most disappointing, the worst books that I read in 2023. Cathartically, I would love to know what were your worst books of 2023. If you would like to vent and tell me in the comments, I would love to know. Unless it's one of my favorite books, then you can keep your opinion to yourself. I'm just kidding. You can tell me if you want. A comment down below. Let me know what your worst book was in 2023. But as for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Hopefully with better books. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.